Meta recently raised its AI spending plans again, with investment reaching $125 to $145 billion in the years ahead. More importantly, Meta isn't alone. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta have all increased AI spending. But if AI is getting smarter and adoption is rising, why is the industry still spending so heavily? Looking deeper, I realize AI's biggest challenge may no longer be intelligence. It may be profitability. Hey everyone, I'm Nolan. For the past 2 years, most AI discussions have focused on model capabilities. Investors have watched which models are smarter, reason better, and lead the next breakthrough. But as AI spending keeps rising, I've started thinking about a different question. As AI improves, the market may be looking for something new. Today, I want to discuss why AI's biggest challenge may no longer be technology, but business models. To understand this, we first need to ask why tech companies keep increasing AI investment. Over the past few years, the industry's main goal has been building more powerful models. To achieve that, companies have bought GPUs, built data centers, expanded server capacity, and increased R&D spending. Normally, as a technology matures, investment begins to slow. Once the foundation is built, companies typically focus on generating returns from those investments. But AI has followed a different path. Even though ChatGPT has reached hundreds of millions of users, AI is becoming part of more business workflows, and the industry has already shown that AI can create value. Major tech companies continue raising capital spending. More importantly, this isn't happening only at Meta. Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta are all making similar moves. Despite years of heavy spending on AI infrastructure, they continue increasing future investment plans. When so many industry leaders make the same decision, it raises an important question. If AI has entered the harvesting stage, why are companies still expanding spending? The answer may be that AI is still in a large-scale build-out and competitive phase rather than a truly mature one. As more tech giants make the same decision, I think the market may be focused on the wrong thing. If the AI race were nearing its end, companies would be focused on improving profits, not increasing spending. But that's not what we're seeing. Instead, they seem to be preparing for another round of competition. That led me to believe the real challenge in AI may not be model capability itself. For the past 2 years, the most talked about topic in AI has been model capability. From ChatGPT to Claude to Gemini, nearly every major product release has sparked discussions about which model is smarter, faster, or more capable. Investors have also gotten used to treating model performance as one of the most important measures of competitiveness. But recently, something has started to change. For most users, many of today's leading AI models are already capable of handling the vast majority of everyday tasks. Whether it's writing, coding, data analysis, research, or content creation, the performance gap between the top models is no longer as dramatic as it was in the early days. In other words, the industry is gradually moving from a competition centered around intelligence to a competition centered around value. Once models reach a certain level of capability, users stop caring about small improvements in accuracy or benchmark scores. What they really care about is whether the technology can save them time, improve productivity, reduce costs, or help them generate more income. And businesses care about something even more important. They want to know whether these capabilities can ultimately be converted into profits. That's why I believe AI is entering a new stage. For years, the market rewarded technology because investors believed better models would create more value. But as AI improves, attention is shifting to a different question. Can these models generate more profit? For the market, technology is an advantage, but profitability is what ultimately matters. As more companies begin deploying AI at scale, a new challenge is starting to emerge. While AI products continue to attract more users, many companies are still trying to figure out what a sustainable business model actually looks like. To be fair, the industry has already found several ways to generate revenue. Some companies charge subscription fees, others monetize through APIs, and some are integrating AI into advertising platforms, enterprise software, or productivity tools in an effort to create new revenue streams. From a revenue perspective, the industry is clearly making progress, but revenue growth and profit growth are not the same thing. The problem is that AI is an extremely expensive technology. Training models requires enormous amounts of computing power. Running those models requires ongoing infrastructure spending. And as user adoption grows, inference demand grows right alongside it. That means more servers, more networking equipment, more energy consumption, and ultimately, more costs. So while user growth is obviously a positive sign, it doesn't automatically translate into profit growth. Every new user creates additional demand for AI resources, and those resources come with real costs. That's why many AI products can show impressive growth numbers while still struggling to generate consistent profits. And for investors, this distinction is incredibly important. Because the market doesn't ultimately value a company based on user counts or model parameters, it values companies based on their ability to generate sustainable cash flows. If AI companies can't build healthy business models, then even rapid adoption may not translate into long-term shareholder value. And from the market's perspective, investors are beginning to focus on a very different question as well. The question is no longer whether AI has potential. The question is when all of this spending will begin generating meaningful returns. Over the last 2 years, investors were willing to give major tech companies higher valuations because they believed AI could unlock a massive new growth cycle. As a result, the market was willing to tolerate heavy upfront investment. Companies could spend billions building data centers, purchasing GPUs, and expanding infrastructure because investors viewed those costs as investments in future growth. But as capital expenditures continue climbing, the market naturally wants to see more evidence that those investments are paying off. Investors want to see AI contribute to revenue growth. They want to see improvements in margins. They want to see stronger cash flow generation. And most importantly, they want proof that all of this spending is creating real economic value. Because while capital markets can be patient, that patience is not unlimited. The larger the investment becomes, the more important the return on that investment becomes. And that's exactly why more analysts are beginning to shift their attention away from model performance and toward AI monetization. As the market focuses more on returns, the investment story is changing. In recent years, companies with leading AI technology often received higher valuations. But going forward, technology alone may not be enough. Investors will care more about revenue and profit. Technology can drive excitement, but profitability is what determines long-term value. So when we step back and look at all of these developments together, Meta continuing to raise its AI spending, tech giants expanding infrastructure at an unprecedented pace, and investors becoming increasingly focused on returns, a much clearer picture begins to emerge. The AI industry is gradually moving from the stage of proving technical value to the stage of proving business value. Over the last few years, the industry's primary mission was to answer one question: can AI actually work? And based on what we've seen so far, that question is becoming easier and easier to answer. More businesses are deploying AI tools. More consumers are using AI products. And AI is becoming increasingly integrated into everyday workflows. In many ways, the technology has already proven its usefulness. But the next challenge may be far more practical. Can these AI products generate enough profit to justify the enormous amount of capital flowing into the industry? And that may end up being a far more important test than the competition over model capabilities. In my view, the real takeaway from Meta's AI spending isn't the $145 billion. It's the shift in what the market cares about. AI has spent years proving models can get smarter. The next test may be how much profit that intelligence can generate. The biggest winners may not have the best models, but the ability to turn AI into a sustainable business. What do you think? Let me know below. I'm Nolan, and I'll see you next time.